The Southern Poverty Law Center recently released this study that talked about how there is an increase in extremism in the country.
Yes.
And this latest news perfectly demonstrates the extremism that we're experiencing domestically. So 10 members of the white supremacist group American Front were arrested in Orlando, and it turns out that they were planning a race war, stockpiling weapons. I don't know exactly what their strategy was, but there was an informant who was concerned about his life, so he went to authorities, and they investigated the situation and decided that it might be a good idea to detain these 10 people.
Yeah, it sounds like it was. I mean, from what I understand what they were planning to do, they were planning on embedding knives and other weaponry in the signs that they were going to carry to this protest, and then they were going to try to induce or trick another neo-Nazi group or another white supremacist group into having a fight with them that would get media attention, and that somehow would magically spark the race war, I suppose. But this is not actually very surprising to me. I mean, these groups seem to increase in popularity and to surge whenever there's a Democrat in the White House. I mean, it happened during the Clinton administration. You know, it happens much more easily now with the advent of the internet.
And not only that, there are obviously, the Southern Poverty Law Center, when they did their study, they specifically wanted to focus on what kind of response President Obama would get, because here he is, our first biracial president. And of course, neo-Nazis, white supremacists are uncomfortable with that. They don't like that. So you see this dramatic increase in the number of hate groups in the country as soon as Barack Obama gets elected. So it's a bit of a double whammy because he's biracial and he's also a Democrat. So what you're mentioning is absolutely correct.
So it sort of turbocharges it in a fashion because he's already biracial. You know, and what's interesting to me about this is, remember back right at the beginning of the Obama administration, the Department of Homeland Security had put out a report that was talking about domestic terrorism. It was in response to a previous report during the Bush administration regarding international terrorism. This was the second part of that, the domestic terrorism. And the right-wing freakout in the media was so extreme that the DHS actually retracted that report.
We've talked about that on several different occasions because it was such an asinine thing for the Department of Homeland Security to do. Just because of right-wing pressure, you decide to shift your focus from right-wing extremism in the country to Muslims.
Right, because that's what plays so well in the media, which doesn't really help protect anybody. But I think this does show that the DHS and the FBI and all of these groups are actually working hard to make sure that they're trying to catch everybody. But it doesn't really give me a whole lot of confidence in them if they're willing to take with the information that they have and retract it so that they don't upset anybody.